afternoon. Welcome to the biomaterials session. My name is Bruno Ferreira. I'm founder and CEO of Biotrend, which is a bioprocess development company, actually also active in the developing of processes for the production of biomaterials. And I'm joined here by two experts in this area. Maria Stewart, she's founder of Sens, a Swiss-based project specialized in the promotion and distribution of bioplastics. She's graduated in economics, and she's spent most of her professional life in financing, and she discovered the light. She discovered bioplastics and sustainability issues recently and became passionate about it, and I'm sure she will share her passion with us today. And we're also lucky to have Joao Fernandes from Amorim Composites here with us. As graduated in mechanical engineering, dedicated 18 years already to Amorim Group, which he will for sure talk a little bit more about in the coming minutes, and started as test application engineer, product development, project manager, sales manager, and today is currently global segment manager. So definitely knows a lot about on what the market wants from us creators of biomaterials. So before we go into the specific topics that we've prepared today, I would like both our speakers to present a little bit of yourselves and what your businesses are about. And I will also very strongly invite our audience to participate in the discussion. Don't just listen, but also pose questions and stimulate us back here also. So Maria, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and particularly your business?
Yes, hi, hello to everybody. You already described a little bit my background. That has basically nothing to do with bioplastics, and as it was said, I discovered bioplastics several years ago and became passionate about this. And today, my main task is to raise awareness and to bring the knowledge and comprehension of bioplastic in Switzerland, and why not elsewhere. Because my observation is the public knows very badly what are the bioplastics, generally about the biomaterials, not only bioplastics, and there is a lot of confusion still on the market, so I would like to clear these things up.
Well?
Okay, for those who were not here yesterday, we did do a short briefing on Amorim and Amorim Cork Composites. But anyway, basically, Amorim has a mission, and that is to value cork. Actually, our mission statement is we value cork. Cork itself, as you know, is a biomaterial. It's a outer skin of a tree bark. And what we do is we value it, which it means we add other ingredients to cork. It is in fact most probably a good example of a biomaterial that can be scaled up into the market. If we take, for example, and we all know that, and I talked about it yesterday, cork stoppers in the wine industry is an excellent example how a natural, sustainable material can coexist with synthetic alternatives and actually be a serious competitor. So I think that is the challenge. Some people say it's not, some people say it is. We'll see.
Yes, thank you for this round of introduction. And actually picking a little bit on what you said, Maria, whenever we have discussions on biomaterials, we tend to be kind of absorbed to the bioplastics issue. And then people start talking about what is a bioplastic, or even they don't even ask, but different people have many conceptions about what bioplastics are. So bioplastics can be bio-based, like produced from a renewable material, from biological material. And then they associate bioplastics with biodegradability, which is not always the case. You have a few petrochemically based materials which are biodegradable. You have bio-based materials which are biodegradable, bio-based material which are not biodegradable, and in the end we get a mess. So
I'm confused. So can you start
of course
over?
you are. So how do you convey a consistent message on how do we stand here? How do we have the policymakers, the potential clients, the consumer know what he's actually dealing with?
Well, I'm trying to explain the difference between bio-based, compostable, biodegradable, and even eatable plastics. But it's true that it is not easy, and then many terms are new, like bio-based is for public, or bio-sourced is something new. Bioplastic is a new term. But another way to explain it is to oppose it to conventional plastics and say, okay, what is conventional plastics? And then we say bioplastics are alternative to the conventional plastics. And the conventional plastic is basically fossil-based plastic that is non-biodegradable, not compostable. So we can say that all the other plastics are bioplastics in some way.
Or not.
Or not.
You know, it
Yeah.
reminds me, it's like having an election and saying, who doesn't vote on this individual? Normally you ask, who votes on this individual? So you're going on exactly the opposite. Sincerely, I think that when we think about these topics and the definition, maybe we have to create new words and new definitions, because the ones that we're using, we're not communicating correctly. I myself get confused, so that's enough.
Yeah, to get prepared for this debate, I was actually going back to a web page of the European Bioplastics Association. And they have a scheme where they try to explain what is fossil-based, what is biodegradable. And of course, since probably they want to have annuities from all players around, they call bioplastics both the petro-based and the bio-based. So if it's bio-based, it's bioplastic, whether it's biodegradable or not. If it's petro-based, it's bioplastic as long as it's biodegradable. And of course, bio-based, so even the associations which should be driving the business seem to be contributing to this confusion.
It seems like you have a matrix discussion on the actual definition, which is it doesn't help to clarify the industry. Personally, I think if you want a convincing story, you need to create a convincing story, and it doesn't convince me.
So that leads to my next question. So you deal on your daily basis with perception, both from public and from clients. What is the story that you convey to get those clients? Okay, there's performance issues, there's everything, but how is the origin of the material or the overall sustainability of the material an asset, and how do you convince the customer or the public of your story?
Well, on bioplastic side, public today is helping a lot, because the most convincing argument is that the public doesn't want plastic pollution anymore, and this is very strong direction. So it's not so difficult to convince today to switch as an alternative to conventional plastics. But what most of the people don't know, that bioplastics are offering completely new possibilities. They have nothing to do with conventional plastics. In medical field, they have different properties that conventional plastics never had, and they will never have. So this is something to discover and to communicate, that there is a real value in these new products, that they're present alternatives don't have?
Well, in the case of cork, our approach is, I wouldn't say it's simple, but it's quite methodic, which is, we ask the question, which is why cork? And to answer that question normally, and we put 4 strategic benefits on the table. One of them is performance. You can't get away from it. You have to show some type of performance. It can be better, it can be worse, it can be equal, but there are performance indicators, like anything. The second item we put on the table is the ecological value. In which way does that benefit the ecology? The third and the fourth, which are intertwined with each other and has to do with the nature of cork, is its health and sensorial aspects. And this is the story. This is how we convey the why cork to our customers, to which are, in most cases, other businesses. We function a lot in a B2B aspect, so we sell materials. We're way down the chain, so we're a material supplier. And this is extremely important to explain why people should buy cork instead of a plastic. And if it's done right, it's successful.
And would this extra asset, like it's a more sustainable material or it's more sustainably sourced, how do you prove that? Do you need, or do you sense the need for a kind of certification? And I'm thinking of this because I was talking to someone from the Cascais municipality, and they mentioned, oh, we try to implement and to distribute a lot of biodegradable glasses, biodegradable cups throughout the restaurants. And people are complaining that they do not degrade almost immediately. Were we fooled? Were we not? Do you feel a need to have a kind of a stamp stating the quality or the specific attribute of your product?
Well, I'm not sure that the stamp saying or label saying biodegradable will help, because people will still think that it will degrade in water or in compost or in their hands. That is not the case. I think the only thing we can explain, the way is we have to explain that the word biodegradable doesn't mix, it decomposes in your hands, and biodegradable means different things. Biodegradable, it means it degrades maybe in 2-3 years instead of 450 years. I mean, because everything is biodegradable, it's just a question of time, you know. And biodegradable is something biodegradable on our scale, on a human being scale. But there is no, I don't think there is a label or there is a stamp we can put to this will arrange things.
And how do you convince, if not biodegradable, but at least sustainable? Is it the same issue? For example, if you're trying to convince someone to go from plastic stopper to a cork stopper, from plastic-based material in another application to a cork-based material, you convince them the functionalities are there, you will have exactly the same properties. Is sustainability an asset? Are people willing to pay more because it's proven to be sustainable? And how do you prove that?
Well, at this moment, what we see is that people are starting to get that conscience. It's not the deal breaker yet. And I think what Maria is doing, what she said in the beginning of her presentation, you need to educate the market as well. The market doesn't wake up one day and knows about your product and where you're coming from. You need to tell them, you need to create an awareness to who you are and what you do. In the case of cork, of course, cork's been used as a biomaterial for hundreds of years, since the Greeks. And although most people have never seen a cork tree, they have seen a lot of wine bottles, I can bet you. So it's around us. And what we do is we educate the market. We tell them what we call our cork story. It's sort of an apprenticeship that every new colleague that comes into Amorim, we teach them the cork story. This is how cork is perceived. This is how cork should be perceived. So it's educating consistently the market, which is what Maria is doing right now in bioplastics.
Thank you for that. So we have a question here from the audience. I don't see anyone with a microphone, or is there someone with a microphone? Otherwise, I can throw my own. Yeah. Sorry for that.
We can share.
Yeah, we can share. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I work in composites in the marine industry, and it's very common to use balsa core and PVC foam core. When I discovered cork, I am very interested to know about which are the advantages of using cork, like as a noise isolant and vibrations isolant. Okay.
Okay, that is a very specific question to your industry. Basically, our performance factors in the case of using cork as what you call a core in a, for example, glass reinforced composite, and I think that's what you're talking about, or other type of resin reinforced composite. Because of our cell structure, we are semi-rigid, which means that what we are going to increment is exactly structures that are more shock resistant, more dampening, and as well it betters the final finish of a composite because it also serves as a thermal barrier during the exothermal curing of the resin. So its performance characteristics does not compare in direct comparison one-to-one to, for example, a PE rigid foam. No.
But for instance, you consider it a closed cell or open cell?
No, it's certainly a closed cell.
Closed cell.
Impermeable closed cell.
Okay, and it can be used in resin resin.
It is used in
all
resin.
the processes. Okay.
Yes,
thermoforming.
Thermoforming, RTM. So.
Rim.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have two questions regarding biodegradable plastics. So, as Bruno said, there is biodegradable that it will eventually biodegradable, but you don't know the time that will take to be in the nature. So my question is, where should we put the bioplastic? In the common bin or in the recyclable? Because if it's going to take some time to biodegrade, I mean, the fish can still be choked with that material. So should we put in the recyclable bin or not?
Well, this is very good question, and I understand. I mean, I have often heard this kind of questions. Unfortunately, there is no satisfying answer today to this. We know that most of the compostable plastics should be put into the compost, but most of the countries don't have compost facilities. So if you have one in your country or in your region, this is clear for compostable plastics. Biodegradable plastics have there is no country yet that have a bin for biodegradable plastics, but it will come. I think in France by 2025, in addition to the glass, paper, metal bins, you will have bioplastic or biodegradable products bins. So this is going very fast, and the recycling And these issues are not yet solved, but I believe really that they will be solved in the following years. So today, if you have a biodegradable plastic, is not to don't put it in the nature. It will take maybe 20 years to degrade. Biodegradation must have a certain temperature, certain humidity and condition to degrade. So it's not because it's biodegradable, it can be thrown in the nature. So today is a common bin. There is no other, so it's with other garbage, unfortunately. And then the destination of this, it depends on the country. In some countries it will be burned, in some countries it will be landfilled, and it depends.
So my second question, if you need time to see if a certain material will be degradable, how do you test that? How do you know the time being that the material is going to be degradable?
Well, there are laboratories, a lot of laboratories and certifications for biodegradable plastics. So, but you as a consumer or a normal person, you have no way to really to test it. You can always do a hole in your garden and see what will happen, but you will not be probably satisfied with the result. So as a consumer, you have to trust some labeling and certifications, but you also have to know this labeling. It exists in Europe, in the United States, in Australia. During my trainings, I'm trying to show them and to explain the difference between these labels, but it's not always clear.
Thank you.
Another question here.
Thank you. I've raised this question before. We talk here biomaterial, let's say blue biomaterial or biomarine material, correct? I mean, it's not about the biomaterial in general. So
Here it's about biomaterial in general.
In general, even
yes.
if it's not
specific to bioresources.
Okay, my point is, if we talk about blue biomaterial, is there any reference in the world that have listed the blue biomaterials as a reference? Yes, we can get this out of this, and do we have something like that?
Not my knowledge.
No, I'm not from the blue bio side, so I can't answer that. Oh.
So there is a lot of knowledge in the industry that has already listed, and a lot of scientific knowledge built upon the valorization and the use of blue-based biomaterials for the most various applications, both from materials to texturizers in the food industry to materials for the pharmaceutical or medical device applications. So if there's a shopping list, I'm not sure there is, but there's enough scientific information already out there. In many different applications, yeah. There's another question there, if you don't mind sharing the microphone. Thank you.
I have a question about bioplastic as well. I have a client that we make for him almost 10 million coffee capsules a week. So he's plastic. So now he's very aware about recycling issue and recycling pressure from society, obviously. We are trying to help him in finding new materials that can be recyclable easily. The problem that I'm seeing, and regarding to the first question of that lady, is maybe we'll find a bioplastic. For now, what we found that it will cost 5 times more than the plastic we use, which is for volumes. It's a lot. But the problem is, instead of being degradable in 500 years, it will be degradable in 20 years, and still we are polluting the oceans, and we are not solving the problem. Are we? I don't know.
Well, you're right. I mean, if we are talking about the oceans, the only solution is to use the plastic degradable in oceans, but these plastics are not good for all applications. So bioplastics are not solution for the ocean pollution by plastics. But to answer your question, we need, I hope, as I understand it, we need vision of the end of life, what's going on with our product, with the plastic we use, and we need a solution. We should not be with some question mark what's going on. So we need to know if it will degrade in the nature, if it will degrade in the sea, or it will be recycled. And today the most realistic and the most, how can I say, affordable plastic is a plastic that can be recycled. And I'm aware to only one plastic like this is BioPE, the only plastic that is actually today recyclable. And there will be another one, probably, it will be polypropylene, also bio-based, but it will come in 4 or 5 years. It will be also fully recyclable plastics in today.
But I believe that most of plastics can be recyclable. I think the problem is single-use plastic, because the plastic that we have in our cars, for example, it's not a problem that we are having right now. This is the single-use plastic that is making a big problem.
I don't think this is the only problem. I think this is the most visible problem.
But eventually contributing to that, if I may, what we generally want is the ultimate perfect bioplastic. It's bio-based, produced from renewable resources. It stays as it is with perfect mechanical properties until we use it. And once we've used it, it vanishes. That would be great, right? Yeah, that's not the case. It will not be the case. So for sure, we need to look at this in a more integrated manner. And of course, recycling is one way of doing it. In the case of coffee, eventually, if you put your used coffee capsules in the garbage bag and you do composting at home, or your municipality does anaerobic digestion, then you have the conditions in order for your plastic to be biodegraded in the right, for the right specification it was built in the first place. So there you may eventually have a solution. You may still have a problem because probably you're looking for a plastic which has the same mechanical properties and thermal properties today as the conventional petro-based plastic. And that particular bioplastic and biodegradable plastic may not be available yet. But bear with me, there's a lot of developments going on in this space, and with people perfectly aware of the end users' needs, of the hand life issue, and it's evolving quite fast. And I think I will take a last question from the gentleman in the back.
Yes, I have two comments concerning the bioplastics. I think the people are more concerned about the resource. Is this resource unique resource that can be used for food? So this answer to your first question. And the second is the end of life. What we will do with the finished product. And to this question, there are two issues. Either you do yourself, or you leave the people to do it. And how they do it. How they recycle it, or they compost it, or whatever. The point of the bioplastics is the end of the life. If you recycle normal plastic, if only 1% is going to the sea, it will be a mess. 1% is additive every year. So you increase the mess. So biosource material which is not for food and good end of life like biodegradability even in the sea, I think then you can communicate to anybody, even the children, they understand that.
Okay, thank you very much for this. And if you have a last comment, or yes, please.
Well, the last comment, because we can search for the perfect product for all application, if it was said, but we will never find it. There is no magic plastic or bioplastic that will fit all the application. Is a good material, whatever plastic or cork, to the good application with a solution for end of life. And in the perfect world, things must come from nature and return to the nature. And we have to find the ways, practical ways and the policies to make it possible.
Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to ask you for a round of applause to our experts and guests here. I hope it was informative, and yeah, I hope it was useful for you guys as well. Thank you very much.